All right, good morning and welcome to the Utopian Cafe for I don't even know what day it is, Stan, because I got like 3 hours
The
sleep last
21st
night.
of July.
21st of July, I believe it's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just so for people tuning in, the reason I didn't get much sleep is that the town I live in is about 20 minutes north of Milwaukee, and the Bucks won their first NBA championship in 50 years last night. And we had fireworks here in this small town. Not like a big like show, but things were getting set off. I was watching the coverage probably till about 2:30 last night. My alarm goes off every morning at 6, so I got about 3.5 hours sleep. But none of that matters. I've got Stan Phillips here today. Stan,
No, it
welcome to
does
the
matter. You
cafe.
should you should celebrate. You should rejoice. When was the
Well,
last time Milwaukee won a championship in anything? The Packers. I guess the Packers are considered Wisconsin.
yeah, Packers are Wisconsin, but as far as Milwaukee specifically, 1977, the Marquette Warriors won the college
Ah,
basketball.
Al
Um,
McGuire.
but they did that on a neutral court, and every time the Packers win a Super Bowl, it's on a neutral field. This was the first time in the history of the city that Milwaukee won a championship in Milwaukee, because the '57 Braves won the World Series at Yankee Stadium, and the '71 Bucks won the NBA Finals in Baltimore. So last night was a first. Um, Now you and I talked about this, before the show. I'm not an NBA fan, but I have friends and family that have been following this team their whole life, and many of them were actually at the game last night. So I'm so happy for them. I have great NBA memories as a kid. Um, what I did yesterday is, as soon as the game was over, I closed my eyes. I imagined this was the Mets or I'm a Browns fan, and I started to tear up because if and when those things happen, it's going to be really great for us.
Wow. Browns fans, that's being tough.
That's
Y-
loyal.
That's wild. That's like being a Saint fan, but even the Saint fans actually won a championship sooner or later. So
Yeah,
better days are ahead for the Browns. Better
yeah,
days.
absolutely. So Stan Phillips is here. Stan and I have known each other since February. I brought Stan on today because I want him to talk about his group, baseball, a way of life. He actually has three fantastic groups that I belong to. One is called Baseball, a Way of Life. He's got a New York Mets, a Way of Life. And then another one that I want to talk to you about is, and I always get the name of it wrong. It's like the
So
fun.
do I. The fun stuff group, and I can't even remember the whole thing because I rambled on. But if you go fun stuff group, you'll go find it on Facebook, and it's good for people like just general memes, jokes, questions, pop culture, music, whatever. And the good thing about it is we don't take anything seriously. It's nothing political or anything like that. It's just meant for people to have fun and just go to and have a laugh or two and just participate in what's going on in the world as far as movies, pop culture, TV, what have you. So I
I
enjoy that
love.
one probably as much as any of them because it's always good for a laugh and it makes me do research and find all that stuff. And we have good people too participating in there too, so it's fun and you never see anyone get a line in that group, and that's unusual. And the same thing with my Mets group. My Mets group isn't really that big; it's less than 150 people, but it's hardcore Met fans, and we talk hardcore stuff there.
Yeah.
So I know a lot. And I was always a little bit worried about doing a team specific group site because the more people you get into those groups, it seems like there's more bickering and bantering. We suck, they suck, whatever. And so far, luckily, knock on wood, that hasn't happened yet in our group, and I hope it won't. So if you just want to talk about the Mets, it's New York Mets, baseball, way of life. As you can see, a lot of things I do are a way of life, and that's basically my life. Baseball is one of my lives. And
Now,
go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, now speaking of baseball, a way of life, that is your, I guess I would call that like your main group. You have, I
Correct.
checked this morning, you have 9,945 members. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell us how that group started, and you have a very specific like schedule of when you post and what you post. So tell us more about that group that you run.
Well, that started 2.5 years ago, and I think I have a lot of relatives and friends who didn't like me posting baseball all the time. I just, oh no, that's like 15 baseball posts a day this guy's putting on his own page. Excuse me. So a couple of my friends said, you know what, why don't we just start our own group and we can talk there so that everyone else won't be pissed off about us talking baseball all the time on my own personal page. So I said, all right. And then I think there was like 20 of us at first. And slowly but surely, we were getting like 100 maybe every week or 2 weeks. And I don't know how it was happening. I don't know if Facebook sends out recommendations or whatever. But then all of a sudden, it just took off. And I think at this point last year, we were about 5,000. And then, I mean, maybe it was because everyone was COVID hibernating. I have no idea. But when there wasn't baseball being played, I think people came to our site and were joining it. We were just talking baseball in general because there's no place really to watch baseball or talk baseball. And there were some weeks where we had over 400 people joining a week, and I was amazed. I mean, people saying, what are you doing? You're making up these names, putting them in the group, and I wasn't. And I have no idea to this day what happened. I wasn't sending out invites or anything. I think it was just maybe Facebook recommending a group. And then people automatically would recommend like 10 friends, and like rabbits, they started multiplying. And originally, it was just supposed to be a passion of mine, just to post amongst friends and everything, because the one thing I do like to do, and I know there's people out there, you're one of them. I know there's a lot of people out there. They live for baseball every day. And the one thing I try to do is mix a little bit of the past with the present. Every day, I'll give you the schedule. You're very in tune with what's going on. Every day at 5 o'clock, I pick 5 players who are celebrating a birthday today, give them birthday greetings. And starting every half hour at 8 o'clock, I mention something that happened on this day in history until I can't think of anything more to say. So we could have 5 or 6 things like at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock on this day in history, this happened, blah, 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 all the way through to like 1, 2 o'clock maybe sometimes until maybe only 10, 10:30, if not much was happening. And then the other thing we do, and I'm trying to run down the clock, 11:30, we always have a poll. We have a situation poll. Something most of the time it's just players. It could be from different eras, current eras, and you just have to pick who you think the better player was. And then for the players who are celebrating birthdays, if you ever notice this theme, Joey, and you probably have, I do one every hour and a half. When I say the name, say Joey Buckholz, what's the first thing you think of? My answer would be Utopian Baseball Cafe. But I'll put like whoever's celebrating a birthday today. I think Johnny Evers from Tinker's Evers Chance is one of the players today. So at 12 o'clock, I'll say, when I say Johnny Evers, what's the first thing you think of? Sometimes they're tough. And little hidden secret, you have to have at least a 20.0 WAR to qualify to get a when I say player. Unless you're a current player or someone who's very topical, who say like Bob Uecker or Al Hrabosky. Otherwise, I'd list every player up there.
Sure.
And people go AWOL when I do that too. Then at 3 o'clock, we have our question of the day. And it could be anything from a current topic to like, does this person belong in the Hall of Fame? We do one a day there. 4 o'clock, we have our trivia question of the day. And I do try to make these hard. So if you want to go back and steal some of my trivia questions, Joey, feel free. They're tough, and even tougher is the Jeopardy question. And that comes at 8 o'clock at night. And I don't want to reveal where I get my answers for that, but there's a good source I go to. And we got some guys who like belong to Sabre and everything else. They can't even get these questions half the time. So I do try to make that as challenging as possible. And I think whoever gets that, believe me, I'm not a baseball savant. I don't know all these answers. I wouldn't even get 99% of them. I put them up. It's just because I do the research. And it's a learning experience for me to go and research this stuff, and I learn from it. Same thing with this date in baseball history, because if I wasn't doing the group, I'll be honest with you, it would be tough for me to be motivated to do this. So I figure if it's a learning experience for me, I can have others learn too. And that's all I try to do. And I always put like statistical stuff that's currently happening in baseball. And I can be arrested as a kleptomaniac because a lot of my stuff I just steal from Twitter. But I will say this, when I take a stat from ESPN Stats or Stat Info, I always retweet it on my Twitter page to give them credit. It's just not very uniform to like, and this is one thing that bothers me about Twitter is you can't really post something from Twitter on your own page and make it look nice and presentable, you have to go in there and click it on. So I just cut and paste and I put a picture of the player, the team in question, and just put the stats up there. So it's not like I'm doing all this research. I'm going to come out and say it, but I am doing the work to get the research. Like I said, if I find it informative, I find other people find it informative. And I guess the main goal of the group, and I'll cut to the chase, is just have it interactive so everyone could talk baseball. Like I said, 99.9% of the people are fantastic. And you always get that one person who comes in, and sometimes I'll get a flag from Facebook, this person said that, and they take it down. Or sometimes people like questioning what I do on a group, and I don't take kindly to that. It's not that I'm this guy who's a taskmaster and I police everything, but if you have a problem, just don't be in the group. Like I said, 99.9% of the people are fantastic, and that's all I strive for. I just want to be an open community for everyone to talk about. Like you have your Utopian universe, people can follow you and do that. I just want people to have a free, open forum to talk about what's ever on their mind in baseball. I enjoy it, and it actually keeps me out of trouble. So I find myself sometimes, because I can schedule all these things at night, and sometimes when you have these 4-hour Met games, I'm just scrolling through, like trying to find things I could put up there. So it's like occupies my mind, because sometimes you get these guys with 30 seconds between pitches. Drives me crazy. And then the commercial breaks. So that's when I do most of that stuff too. So it's not like I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning posting these things or noontime posting these things. They're all basically scheduled unless I find something right then and there that, like, say someone dies, unfortunately, or a trade was made, I'll put that up instantaneously. But it's basically all scheduled, and people seem to have fun. I enjoy it, and I get good feedback too. So
I love all the groups, and again, this is Stan Phillips from A Baseball, A Way of Life. You also recently started a YouTube channel.
Yes, Baseball Way of Life. And here, I'll be honest with you too. What I used to do was I used to download stuff like a Derek Jeter HBO special, and I'd get like 1 million views, but you couldn't make money off of it because it's intellectual commercial rights or whatever like that. Well, people were subscribing to it. So I had like 3,800 subscribers on that altogether. And I said, well, what I should do is just put what I want to say every now and then, like maybe like once a day, sort of like taking a topic from Baseball Way of Life and just talking about it. And I have the audience already. Most of them don't watch it, I'll be honest with you. But like I said, for those that do, it's there for them. I take a topic a day, and a lot of times I'll just go live on Baseball Way of Life. People leave comments, sort of like what you do. People leave comments, and I'll comment if it comes up during the YouTube cast. I like to do it early in the morning when people are like more attentive and do it that way. And it's fun. A lot of people pop in every day. They know who they are. I don't want to mention me. Some are actually in your Utopian Cafe, by the way. And I'll mention them when they're on. And it's fun because it's just not me yapping. When they have something to say, I'll take it and run with it from there. And eventually that goes up on YouTube. But the longer the broadcast is, it takes like a day to go on friggin' YouTube. So what I do is actually I copy the link and just put it on the baseball page after the broadcast is done. So if you want to hear me talk nonsense about a certain topic, I'm there for you. And then I do a Met podcast. It's available on all the streams because the Mets are really my passion.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife says, I think you just love to hear yourself talk about the Mets. And you know what? She's right. She's married to me. She knows what the deal is. So she can hear me. This is our guest bedroom here. I'm in there every day doing my Met podcast. And I enjoy that because, again, it makes me dig deeper into the Mets, like their history, what happened on this day, birthdays, transactions, and all that. So for a self-serving purpose, it's probably more for me. But if other people want to enjoy it, it's there for you. And we're on all the platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything. So it's New York Mets Baseball Way of Life. That's the podcast name and the group name.
Nice. And
we'll get all choked up about this.
We'll throw up all the links for the groups and the podcasts right after the show today. Now, how long have you been a Mets fan, Stan?
Well, This is going to be a self-confessional to you, Joey, and don't get mad at me and don't hold it against me. But I was born in 1961. I'll be 60 come this Sunday. And my first baseball game, my dad took me, his company had seats for the Yankees. It was 1968. And Denny McLain was going for his 29th win at Yankee Stadium. So it was September already. But I was obsessed with Mickey Mantle. My first glove was a Mickey Mantle glove, and I was a Yankee fan. So that being said, we were about 10 rows from the on-deck circle, and Mickey Mantle was there, and I was screaming like I was a Beatles concert with Mickey Mantle. He actually turned around, and he looked, and like he did one of his things with his hand. To me, he was like saying, "Hey, Stan, how you doing?" But he probably just did one of these "go away, kid." But I thought it was a wave at me, so that stuck with me. But then the next year, my dad took me to Shea Stadium the year they won it all. And I don't know if you've ever been to Shea Stadium, but they had the Loge level, which was right above the field level. And we went with our church group. And I'm going up the ramp, and I saw the grass at Shea Stadium. We were a little bit beyond first base. And I just fell in love with the green grass. And I just fell in love with, believe it or not, I'm one of the few people that fell in love with Shea Stadium. So I became a Met fan after that and always wanted to go to Shea Stadium. And just so happens my first full year as a Met fan, they actually won the World Series. And like a Buck fan should do, worship it now, take advantage. It doesn't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen for the Bucks or any other team, but you think these things happen every year when you're a kid, but they don't. And I just became obsessed with the Mets. Like we said before the broadcast, my other team was the Knicks, and I like the Jets. So it's been a rough haul for all. Like the Knicks, I hardly ever watch anymore. The Jets, I used to have season tickets, but I kind of outgrew it. It was more about tailgating and hanging out with my friends and everything. But then when they went to PSLs, we had 16 seats in the middle level at the old Giants Stadium. But when they moved to the new stadium, the PSLs took over. So they wanted 5,000 just to have the right to have the seat. And 14 of the people of mine dropped out. I got the PSL for a couple of years, and it just wasn't the same. It's more like a community thing, a bonding experience going to the football games. And to be honest with you, you're better off just watching it on TV. But that's my opinion. I'm not going to say if you want to go to games, that's great. But the Jets were a passion of mine. But the Mets, I've always been a Met fan. I've gone every year to Met games, and I feel like a little kid when I go to Citi Field again, and just taking the 7 line there, the subway, it's right next to Shea Stadium, rekindles memories of my childhood. So
I really can't wait to get back to a game. Ironically, I've been to Shea Stadium twice for I saw a regular season game in 2007. They lost 9-1, and then in 2008, I think it was the next summer, I saw Billy Joel.
that was the last hurrah?
Show. Yep. And
was
then
that the Paul McCartney show?
No, I saw the one before.
I'm not going into that. That's and nothing against Billy Joel. Eric Clapton's done the same thing. The last show, and then he added a show. Then he added another show. All these guys always say this is the last show, and then they add another show, but not taken away from that because I saw the video. I didn't go to the concert. I've seen Billy Joel at the Garden, and he puts on a fantastic show. I mean, basically, it's the same song. He hasn't done anything creatively for 40 years, but it's amazing how much his live show draws the people to this day. I don't think any artist could do that no matter what.
I actually had this conversation with a really good friend of mine recently. I can't name another artist who's basically stopped recording in 1993.
Yeah.
So what is that, 28 years, and can sell out baseball stadiums. Like,
right.
I can't name anyone.
Yeah, the only one I could think of that's closest is piano counterpart Elton John. But Elton John puts out albums, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like many people listen to him.
Yeah,
they just go see the same type of show that Billy Joel puts on and just feel good, and they know all the songs when they're there, and it's just a good experience for both. But I wish I could have went to the Shea Stadium one. Unfortunately, I was on vacation that week, so blew that one. But anyway, yeah, I'm a big Billy Joel fan too, and his Garden shows are the best, without a doubt.
Yep, and I saw him at the Garden in 2014, and I was just like blown away. I'm like, oh my God, this is where like WrestleManias have happened and all these great concerts and just great happenings. So I'm glad I got to scratch that off the bucket list.
Yeah, good stuff without a doubt. But
So
that's basically my history as a Met fan. I mean, I know there are other people, and on my baseball group, I know there's a few people that are even more way into the Mets than me. Because I ask these trivia questions again, I go to different sources, and they know the answers. And unless I looked up the question and found out the answer, and I watched just, I'd say at least 90% of the Met games, I don't know. So it amazes me that there are so many great people out there who know all this stuff, and it's amazing. Uh, and I always think, oh, I'm Mr. Met. I know it all. I know. I don't. There are people in my little clique of friends or whatever. I'm noticed like the big Met fan, but there's so many out there, and I don't know if it's just Met centric. I think Met fans just seem to be more loyal than other fans. And I know come September, if they're not doing well, there's not people at Citi Field or whatever. But I just think they stick with them through thick and thin, no matter what. And I think you have to as a Met fan. I think there's almost a pride, a badge of courage if you are a Met fan to say you're a Met fan and you put up with all the losing and everything. And I always say, well, it couldn't have been that bad because of the fact that we won these championships and all that. But if you look in history, this past decade, I didn't realize I go on these sites with statistics, and in the past decade, we've been bad. You just think that next year is going to be the year, but we really haven't had. This year is like our best year in like 10 years, besides 15 and 16, I should say. But besides those 2 years, this team is basically comparable to. I should say better than all these other teams, and it's been a rough road for the Met fans. Once the whole Will Ponzi thing happened, it's been rough. It's been rough.
I'm really happy with the new ownership. I love this team. Like personally, I just love the characters on this team. Alonso, right. Lindor, DeGrom is just insane this year. I think his ERA is like 1.07. I have a lot of friends that aren't Mets fans that say, well, they don't have a shot. They have the worst record amongst division leaders right now. I'm very loyal, very faithful. I still think they have a shot to win it all this year. You get the Mets in a 5-game series with DeGrom pitching games 1 and 4. I'll take that over any team right now in that scenario. And then if you get onto a best of 7, anything can happen. So I'm still a believer. I still think that great things can happen for us this fall.
Well, they got everybody coming back in the everyday lineup, and that's a blessing in disguise. And the guys you want hitting until Lindor got hurt, he was one of them. Conforto and Alonso, that's the key.
Yeah,
I always say, people think I'm nuts when I say this. If Brando Nimmo isn't the MVP of the offense, he's either second or third because he's the catalyst.
Yeah.
And this all happened when he came back in the lineup because he wears the pitcher down with 7-8 pitches in that bat, gets on base 40% of the time, and basically sets the table for everybody else. So if Nimmo goes down, we're in trouble because we don't have a leadoff man like him, and I think everything falls into place. And you get Alonso getting hot. That helps out Conforto because he's behind him. Now you have to pitch to Conforto, so it's almost like a domino effect. And yes, I think they do have the offense, and even the odds makers. The Mets are still like the favorite to win the division. It's almost prohibitive favorites, and I think they see the same thing we do. You just have to weather the storm. And again, it could be me looking through a silver lining, but you get to the postseason, you got DeGrom, Walker, Stroman, Carrasco, and Syndergaard, and whoever the top 3, and they'll play the hot hands in there. They'll put the top 3 pitchers out there, and with our offense, we can do damage. And the scary part is the National League, it's so parity-driven. When I say parity, it's bad. There's only 4 teams better than us, and the Brewers have the pitching, but I don't know if they have the hitting to win in the offseason.
Yeah.
And the only team that scares me is the Dodgers. I mean, pitching and defense, I think they could do damage to us. But I think we could handle the Padres, and I think we could handle the Giants. But that's pushing the cart way too ahead right now. But I do like the Mets' chances. Like I said, just got to weather the storm. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking with Stan Phillips from A Baseball A Way of Life. We're going to throw up some links for his groups and his YouTube channel later today. Stan, thanks for being in the cafe today.
Thank you, Joey. And anytime, I don't know, you're a Letterman fan. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever a guest couldn't appear, he always had Regis Philbin or he had Marv Albert on to do the Albert Achievement Awards.
Sure.
Well, you can bring on the Baseball Way of Life Awards whenever you can't get a guest. So feel free to ask me anytime.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Stan, well, you'll be a regular on the show. You'll be like our Charles Grodin.
Yes, I love Charles Grodin. I
We'll
love
give you
Charles
a
Grodin.
call.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So tonight at 8:30 Central, we've got game one of trivia. We've got JD Schloss, Andrew Pfeffer, Greg Fokker, Mike Carminetti, Patrick Michael, Glenn Jordan, and Nate Brown all competing in trivia tonight. That's at 8:30 Central. At 10:30 Central tonight, we've got Cubs Dodgers on Xbox. For the Utopian Cafe, this is Joey Buckholtz. Again, thanks to Stan Phillips for being here.
Can I
Everyone
make a
have
prediction
great
on the
day.
trivia?
What's that?
Can I make a prediction on the trivia?
Yeah, let's make a prediction.
Mark Carminati.
Mike?
Yeah, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. Yeah, he's a Philly fan, but I don't hold it against him. But he knows he's one of the few that can answer my Jeopardy and trivia questions. So make them tough for him, that's for sure.
All right, sounds good. Well, Stan's picking Mike C to win it all tonight. So we'll see you at 8:30. Thanks again for Stan Phillips for stopping by. Everyone have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, guys.
Sorry, I exited studio by accident there. Thanks for being on the show, and I'll reach out to you later today. We'll try to figure out something for next week then.
And that's good. Like I said, it's nothing urgent. Whenever you want to come on, I just want to help promote your group, just like me. I yap 90% of the time here. It'll be your turn to yap.
I appreciate it, buddy.
And it'll be a good chance for you to actually explain everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just leave it up there. And once it converts to YouTube, I leave it up there, and it'll be a good chance for you to explain. Honestly, I think a lot of people don't get it, and for you to, I'll give you the open forum to just explain it then.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'll actually look at my schedule next week, and we'll try to get something on the calendar for like maybe early or mid next week.
Sounds good, Joey.
All right, take it easy, buddy.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.